Hi. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed or liked any of my previous video, please go and do that. I can't believe that August is almost over, and I hope you guys had a wonderful time and you have gone through all these previous videos that are speaking to her. And thank you for joining me. I'm thinking as I'm talking. Thank you so much. But let's jump right into it. I'm saying a whole lot of thank yous now. So, as you can see by the title of these videos, there are lies that we have bought into. And I think before I can even jump into the lies, I want to prelude this with my story. Obviously, it's about my journey, but my story regarding feminism. I was ignorant of what it meant. I was ignorant of what it stood for. I bought the lies that it is purely a support of females. Yeah. But I think what I did during the writing of this book, and it's going to look like I'm selling this book a lot, but I think I did a lot of work on it when I began my journey into biblical womanhood. But anyway, and also it sounds like a thesis, right? So if you are up for something like that, that makes you think, that makes you question, before you get into your feelings, because I feel like every time the question of feminism comes up, Christian women, they become defensive about it. And I think I understand them because I was them at a point in time. But once I did a deep dive and read a lot on it, the Lord started then showing me, because that was his thing. That's why actually the book is called Where's Our Girls, the King's Daughters. It is purely because we have drunk from the well of the world so much that we don't even recognize it when it's not aligned to our biblical values, our kingdom values. And so chapter 5 of the book dives deep into the history of feminism and how it started and who started it. And initially, when it started, guys, it truly started as a pure, innocent, hey, we would like a seat at the table. Please put us there. And for me, as a solutionist, I truly believed that. It was a wife of one of the presidents at the time who wrote that letter. And as you would discover, and I want us to do this, and let me say this, I would like us to have a research mind when it comes to kingdom things. And why is that? I think it's because we are so easily moved by, amen, you're gonna get a car next week, you're gonna get a husband tomorrow, and there's nothing wrong with all those things. But I think when it comes to things that have to make us keep quiet and listen, 1, 2, put on our thinking caps, we shut out. And I think this is my challenge to you ladies, that when it comes to feminism, please don't shut out. Rather put on your interest cap or your curious cap and ask the hard questions. Dig deep. Because what it will do is that it will not only liberate you, but it will liberate the ladies that follow you. I have seen many so-called Christian women's organizations that are feminism orientated. And it's only because we have not read the truth about what the movement stands for. So I think for me, with this video, that's my plea, that let's put aside all we think we know about feminism. Let's dig deep. If you're not going to get my book, at least read about what feminism means. And whether or not, as a kingdom girl, that is for you. I'm going to do a whole lot of resources and writings on this, because this is what I believe that has gotten us into the trouble that we are in today, where we have bought into the lies. This is what I'm going to talk about today anyway. But in any case, you've got to be in the thesis space for you to be able to dig deep and get something. And I'm hoping that, God willing, by His Spirit, He will be able to help me unpack and move it from the thesis stage to a stage where we're able to sit around the table and chat about the 4 waves of feminism. What do they mean? What do they look like? How have I embraced them? And it's beautiful. I think for me, reading about it opened my eyes, right? It opened my eyes to actually really understand what feminism is and what it stood for, because all this time I called myself a feminist. I thought, women's empowerment, yada, yada, yada. Guys, women's empowerment has always been God's idea. That we must never mess it up. We must not think that you have to be feminist for you to be able to empower women, right? It's God's idea. Because the thing, and maybe let me talk about this, what's critical about labels is that it's association. Whether or not feminism to you means something totally different, but if you don't understand the context of the word feminism, feminist, and then you call yourself that, you are by default associating yourself with everything that it stands for, which some of them I think you really do not embrace. But because of ignorance, because of we want to be cool, we want to be, it's like this whole naming now of things. It's like the energy, the universe. Guys, please, we know the God we are serving, and it's a God who created the universe. We must not get this mixed up. There is no energy, there is the Spirit of God that is in us. So if we don't rename and reclaim, for one, manifestation is God's thing. He is the one who manifested himself as God in flesh and came into the earth. It is our word. But guess what the devil has done? He's taken those words and reclaimed it and made it into, I'm getting carried away, and I must calm down and say that women empowerment is God's idea. Feminism is not. So read about what it means, read about what it sells us, and come back. Let's talk about it. And you tell me, what elements of it do you embrace? And what elements of it do you feel that as a kingdom child, as a king's daughter, you and it are aligned? Because I'm telling you, once, you know what God says? I think it's in Proverbs. No, it's not in Proverbs. My people perish for lack of knowledge. That's exactly what is happening here. Where you find Christian girls calling themselves feminists is a lack of knowledge. And my heart's cry is to help with tools and resources to educate us so that we can know what it is. We can be able to be armed enough to reject the lies of the enemy and start embracing God's truth. Therefore, then that way we will be so powerful in the kingdom, because I don't have to look like the world. I don't have to speak like the world for me to impact and infect the world. Because I have the God in me who is the hope of glory. I have somebody who's more than enough to be able to transform the world. I do not have to steal the words of the world for the world to be able to recognize the power that God has given me. The power that God has given. Okay, anyway, let me get to the point, right? So there are lies of the enemy that, and what I've done today actually, which is great, I've put a link below. Just go through and get that link where I talk about the 10 lies and what they are. Because I think once we are questioning of things, we can truly walk in freedom. Some of us really are in bondage because of our own doing. And anyway, let me just talk about line number one. Line number one is that we can have it all. Oh, God Almighty. This lie, the enemy has infused it in women generally, but more so women in the kingdom. He has made us to believe that we've got to have it all and we've got to have it now. And in the process, we're dropping very serious bombs. I mean, very serious balls that we were supposed to carry. I think with this lie, for me and you, and please, it's a free resource that I just linked for you at the description box. Please go through that. But this lie, for me, what it has done is that it has enabled the enemy to replace in our hands the critical things with frivolous things. Just because we want to be Mrs. What, and then have 10 kids, and then have the house, have the job, have the this, do this, and be out there with friends, and. It's all a lie, ladies. It cannot happen. We cannot have it all. Well, at least this is how I've heard it said before. You can have it all, but not all at once. Once you have that mindset, at least you can have grace for yourself. So that's critical. And line number two, men and women are fundamentally the same. That's a lie from the pit of hell. This is actually because we want to fight for sameness. And God is like, no, I created you male and female for a reason. You are equal, yes, before my eyes, but you are not the same. And once you can reject this lie, you can be able to show up femininely, because that's exactly what is making us to not be able to embrace God's divine design for us, is because we are fighting to be the same as them. And we do not realize that we are supposed to be different. Because if my husband is masculine, I must come in feminine. If my boss is masculine, I must come in feminine. If my subordinate is masculine, I don't have to show up masculinely. I can do that femininely, and it can still be as powerful, if not better. Right? So I think I'm just going to touch these two, but if you want to know the rest of them, it's 10 lies. They are in the description box. Please get yourself. And once you've read it, I'd like for you to come back here. Let's discuss. Let's talk about it. Let's have the conversation, ladies, because I think as we wrap up this video and wrap up the month of August, the whole purpose for me was that, can we have different discussions than what we're having? Because the things that we are saying that we are empowering women with is the things that the enemy is actually intending for us to be talking about. But we don't talk about the things that matter. We don't talk about the heart posture, because biblical womanhood, at the core of it, is truly my heart stance. It's how I am approaching the container that I'm in. With ignorance, I run the risk of not showing up as the way that the Lord has made me. So I'm asking you, if you haven't listened to the other videos, please go ahead and listen to those other videos. Over and above that, grab yourself the copy of the book. The link is in the bio, or just reach out and let's talk. Let me get the copy in your hands, and let's get educated, ladies. I think let's make learning normal. And when I say learning normal, let us get to a point where we don't only want to respond to sermons that make us scream, or to the truth that makes us scream. Maybe let me not say sermons. To the truth that makes us scream. But let's respond with thinking minds, because that's what the Father wants. Being a Christian doesn't mean you don't think. To the contrary, God gave us the mind so that we can be able to reason. He says that. He says, reason with me. Come, let's talk. Because he understands what the world has shown to us, what the world has sold us. But he's saying, sit down with me. Let's talk about it. Let us reason so that he can give you the truth of his divine design, of his divine purpose, why he made you woman. So at the end of this Women's Month, I pray that these conversations actually made you hungry to understand yourself better, and yourself being the container that you are in, because that's a big part of who you are. Because if you don't embrace that big part, you're always going to show up in miscongruence. That's the word that just came into my mind. You're always going to show up wrong. But anyway, let's end it here, ladies. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.